So here we are inside of the Lane Motor Museum, located in Nashville, Tennessee. This is a collection of about 150 cars, mainly dealing in European cars, both old and new. There's cars ranging from this 1909 Renault AG to this 2014 Volkswagen XLI. There's cars of every size and shape and color in this museum. Now, the gentleman that started this museum started collecting these cars in 2002, and the museum opened in 2003 in an old Sunbeam bread factory. Now, there's about 150 cars in this museum, but the collection is well over 550, and they rotate them out periodically to keep the displays fresh. There's even an area of vintage and newer motorcycles, scooters. Even includes this 1998 McLean wheel.
On June 7th, 2004, Lark LX began its journey.
This is a 1959 Lark LX. You can just see how large it is compared to the building next to it. That vehicle's massive. There's so many interesting and unique vehicles in here. I know I won't be able to get all of them on video. You just have to see this place to believe it. There's even airplanes in the ceiling. This is a 1948 Simca Gordini Type 5. It has a 16 horsepower motor, which speeds up to 70 miles an hour. And you're basically straddling the transmission. Could you imagine doing 70 miles an hour in that little bitty car? Now, even though this is the largest collection of European cars in the United States, there's also some imports from Japan, such as these Subarus and some of these Hondas. 2015 to 1991. Seen here. Now there's also cars from Germany and Austria, such as Volkswagen, BMW, and that's Steyr right there. Now this BMW, when it was brand new in 1960, would set you back a whopping $1,250. I like how they got the cars separated out by regions, I guess you say, regions through the world. There's an Audi there. Here's something pretty interesting I just noticed. All the sign stands are made for engine camshafts and flywheels. So this is the restoration shop. They're currently restoring a 1957 Aurora. Body panels and framework there. And there's the car itself. The gentleman's got to do some work on it. This is a 1965 Lotus Super 7 Series 2. When it was new, you could buy it for about $3,400 assembled, or for $1,500 you could buy it unassembled, and you could put it together in your garage in about a weekend, they say. The British government, trying to discourage the sales of the kits, made it illegal to produce the assembly instructions, but they circumvented that and made instruction on how to disassemble this car. Now here's something just extremely odd. This is a 1958 Survival. This is one car. It's not been in a wreck. It actually hinged at the front third of the vehicle. It was made from a 1948 Hudson Commodore 6, which was a four-door sedan. Now this car articulated in the middle. And the reason why I did so was to protect the passengers from front impact collisions. So if you got into a wreck, this front section would take the most of the impact and to veer the impact away from the passengers. It is a front engine but rear driven automobile. Now here's another interesting vehicle, a 1932 Helicon. Y'all ready for this? This vehicle is propelled by a propeller. It was handmade in 1932 and the only one in existence. Shortly after it was made, it was put in a barn in France by the owner. In 2000, it was discovered in that barn still. Now it has been restored to its former glory, That's just pretty darn cool. Or how about a 1910 Harley Davidson board track racer? Sitting right next to this here rally car. Rear engine. This is a 1948 Lamar. It is the world's narrowest automobile at 2 foot and 4 inches wide. It was designed to fit through British garden gates that are 2 foot 6 inches wide. And it was mainly advertised towards disabled people, because you could get it inside your gate and not have to walk out to the street to get into your car. This is a 1964 Peel P50 replica. It is the world's smallest car. They only made 50 of these. And I can't see why it didn't keep on going. Could you imagine getting to a wreck in that thing? Here's some various Alp Romeos, Fiat. They just trunk up that car with the airplane. How cool is this?
Take away all those other things that could have mechanical failures. So it was also a way to experiment with that idea and getting rid of mechanical issues, okay? But there are some drawbacks to that, okay? There's you got to kind of have the handoff, right? So when you operate a propeller-driven automobile, okay, it is like taxiing an airplane at the airport. Okay, you're just not ever going to take off. Okay? This doesn't have wings to make it go up. Okay? Okay, so let's pretend you're sitting with your family or a friend having a meal on the patio or your floor. So you can see as I build up speed, I'm actually having a lot easier time controlling that front passenger. Okay? But remember, these were intended for indoor use. So how often were you really going to build up a lot of speed to get it where it really needed to be to make you what it was supposed to be?
Okay, so that was quite unexpected. The museum curator came out and talked to us about the Helicon and Crunk It Up, and spoke to us about the electric little vehicle there. And the gentleman there in the black shirt is actually the owner of the museum. This is all his collection. So that was a very, very nice treat. How about a Fiat four-wheel drive? Here's the backside of that rally car. We can see the rear engine. Here's some Saabs and Volvos. I always thought the Saab and Volvo was a very ugly car. And to this day, they're still ugly to me. But from my understanding, they're one of the safest ones on the road. Look at this. Hatchback wagon. I don't know what this is. Quite an interesting collection of vehicles in here. And this area here has some of the smaller, I guess you say, miniature cars. Now, if this car looks familiar, if you remember back in the 90s, there was a show called Family Matters with Stephen Urkel. Stephen Urkel drove a 1960 BMW Isetta. Well, this is a 1958. Similar to it, it's a four-door. And Urkel's was a two-door. Here's a scooped car. It's basically a motorcycle. A fiberglass frame or fiberglass body wrapped around the motorcycle. Here's a 1958 Vespa 400. I did not know that Vespa made cars. I just thought they made scooters. This looks like a old Shelby Cobra, but it's not. Some Berkeley Sports. This looks like something you would see at an airport running baggage around. It's a 2007 SLC K200. A little Italian car. Now get this, in 2007, this car cost $37,000 American dollars for a miniature car. And they're still being produced, it says. How about this one? Now this little thing right here just kind of makes me laugh. That's and this year celebrates the 20th anniversary of the museum. We got some interesting and special cars back in the 20th anniversary area here. Says 20 years, a hobby gone wild. And here's another one of those propeller-driven cars. It says this was built by one man. Everything was handmade except for the Indian V12 engine, the wheels, and the gauges. He even carved the propeller himself. And it's one of a kind. This is an interesting little nod back to the bakery that this building is in. Some of the things that you would get when the school kids would come and tour the bakery. Some of the advertising and newspaper articles talk about how the old bakery has now become the largest collection of European cars in America. This is some memorabilia from the grand opening day of October 18th, 2003. So 20 years. Over 500 cars in this collection. Now this car was made in Germany in 1957, the Zundap Janice 250. It has two doors, front and rear. The motor was in the middle, and the seats could be conformed. We could lay down and go to sleep in this car. 1964 Skcraft. It has one of the first mass-produced rotor engines in it, and you basically skied behind it. You don't know what you're going to see in this museum. And I think that's what's cool about it, is I could come back next year and have almost a totally different set of cars in here. Now all the vehicles in this part of the museum are all one-off, either prototypes or cars they were trying to get companies started off with. Every single car in here is literally one of a kind, and you'll never see another one in the world anywhere. Such as this 1967 Gyro X that has a gyroscope.
The gyro must make continuous corrections to keep the vehicle in balance.
Inside of it to keep it balanced,
as well as the front wheel geometry, playing an
as it
important role
has
in the stabilization of the vehicle.
one main single tire, front and rear. Basically like a long motorcycle that balanced itself. Now some of these cars, they don't even know who made them. This is an unknown French car. They don't even know how old it is or anything. kind of weird how some of these cars didn't make it. Now, like this one right here, this 1955 Guadalupe. I can understand why it didn't do so well, as the engine's right there next to you. But why didn't that go? Some of these cars are just interesting. Some are just hideously ugly looking. That one there is made of aluminum. All aluminum. In 1945. Ericsson Streamliner that was made by a guy in his garage. And if you look, it's not using one piece of aluminum. It's actually multiple pieces. And back in the 80s, it was sold at his garage sale. This is probably one of, if not the best car museum I've ever been to. If you're ever in the Nashville area, definitely come by here and see this museum. Give yourself a couple hours. Definitely worth the trip here. But anyways, appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.